Hey everybody, welcome back to the Control Academy. I'm your host Marshall, and today we're playing Jeskai Hinata Control. So, first, before we dive into the deck tech, a little bit of housekeeping. If you don't want to hear any about that, you can skip right to the deck tech or the games by using the chapters below. I'll separate out this next little part accordingly. But first, apologies for taking so long to upload a video. I actually recorded this one and had some really great games, but there was a problem with my microphone. I forgot to turn on the phantom power to it because I'm using a needlessly overkill microphone for my YouTube channel. And so the entire thing was unusable. And so I have a little bit more experience with this deck now than I did then, so that's an upside. But it means that this has been a long time coming for this video to actually come out. Now, the flip side of that is it means that you're going to get to see a lot of videos this week. So I haven't decided if I'm going to post this on the day I record it, which is Sunday, or post it on Monday and go from there. Either way, this coming Friday, the 29th, yes, is the release of Streets of New Capenna. And so I will be recording a standard video to release as soon as I can after the set comes out on Arena. And also, Explorer is a format that'll be coming out. And so I will be starting with essentially what is virtually the Pioneer Azorius control deck and launching into some gameplay there and seeing how a paper true Eternal format on Arena feels. I suspect it's going to be pretty good. And if you all are excited about Explorer, which will eventually become Pioneer, as they're saying, please let me know, because I'm really excited about it. And as long as you guys are interested in seeing a video like that, in my perfect world, what I do moving forward is that I'd post one video in Standard a week and one video in Explorer each week. And I'll be looking sort of at y'all's responses for where to go with that. In terms of the Standard video, I have both an Esper, or should I say Obscura deck lined up, and a Maestro's deck lined up. And so if there is one of the two of those that you'd like to see first, the sort of thing that comes right out of the gate blazing, please let me know, and I will take that into account as I go to record later in the week. Otherwise, I'll just sort of pick based on my gut feeling. But yeah, so anyway, the two things to think about is the Explorer content that I am going to try adding to the channel and what we want to see from Streets of New Capenna first. Anyway, that wraps up the channel business, and so let's go ahead and get back to the deck tech. All right, so Jeskai Hinata. This is a deck that's actually been in the format for a while, so if you've been looking at this in the background and been like, this isn't really new, you're absolutely right. What happened is that with the new set coming up at the end of the week, and the recognition that I basically skipped over this deck in the middle of the season, I wanted to give it a try. And what happens is it largely got displaced from the metagame from when it got super popular. But I've seen in the games that I've played in the past week that it still has a lot of power. And so, just to be clear, I did not build this version of the deck. I grabbed this from a MTGO challenge winning deck from a user named Beckles. So the user Beckles on MTGO. Thank you very much for this deck list. And the way that the deck works is that, it's a Jeskai deck technically, but it's primarily a blue-red Spellslinger control deck. So we've got a lot of things that fit into the blue-red archetype really well. We're using Expressive Iteration to draw. We're using Galvanic Iteration to sort of copy things up. And then we've got, all the different bits and pieces for control elements. And what you'll see is that there's a lot of things in this deck that target, because what makes it Jeskai, beyond just the inclusion of Valorous Stance as a defensive removal spell, is the inclusion of Hinata the Dawn Crowned. And so this 4/4 Flample, Flying Trample, for 4 is already like a solid body. Like this can, take over a game pretty easily. But it has this additional text that says that spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each target, and spells your opponent cast cost 1 more to cast for each target. This makes the arena UI very obnoxious to sort of figure out as you try to like discount things that have multiple targets, because, playing an Abrade for 1 mana is exciting, but playing a Magma Opus for 2 mana is really juicy. And so the reason it can get to 2 mana is because you can have up to 4 targets for the damage dealing portion of it, and 2 targets for the tapping effect of it. And so virtually for a blue and a red, you can get yourself 4 damage, tap 2 permanents, create a 4/4, and draw 2 cards, which is just obscene. And so Magma Opus is one of those cards that always needs an enabler, and Hinata is an enabler that also just happens to deal 4 damage in the air very consistently. So we're pretty happy there. Similarly, Shatterskull Smashing becomes an excellent removal spell, because as you add more targets, you get to discount it even further, and so you can generally rip a lot of damage off with this. And so there's a lot of things to like about this deck, but you can really blow things out of the water with Magma Opus here. Now, I'm going to do a quick little edit here because, again, I have played this deck a little bit. And so this is a deck that was built for best of 3. Now, the one place in best of 1 standard where this falls a little short is that it really needs these Cinderclasms in the main. So I wanted to show you all the main deck as Beckles built it, but I'm going to swap out a couple things here. So I'm going to move the Disdainful Stroke to the sideboard, and 1 Jwari Disruption, yep, 1 of those, to put 2 Cinderclasms in the main. And the reason I'm doing this is just against mono white especially, and even to a certain degree the Auras deck, you really just need this sort of go wide. There's an argument for swapping out Spikefield Hazard here, and I'm not necessarily sure that, that is possibly the right call here. But the fact that this can also be a land feeds into the total land count here. So you'll see, it only has 22 normal lands, and so it really needs the Spikefield Hazards to get up to that sort of 26 land sweet spot where you can cast everything on curve. And so with Shatterskull, or I guess it's technically 28 if you count Shatterskull Smashing, which is also the same reason I didn't swap out Shatterskull Smashing there. So otherwise, a lot of the things that we're doing here are pretty straightforward. Jwari Disruption gets cheap when you counter things with it, because it counter targets a spell. Prismari Command can target multiple things. Awesome. It only can be discounted by 1 regardless, so is what it is. But otherwise, there's just a lot of really good value stuff here. And Goldspan Dragon is still one of the best threats in Standard, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. The mana base is pretty straightforward. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary here. And again, aside from those changes I just made in real time, this is Beckles' deck list, and so all credit goes to Beckles in that regard. So we're going to play some games in Standard and just get a taste for how Jeskai Hinata rolls in this last week of the format, and I'm pretty excited about it. So anyway, as I was alluding to earlier, I put a lot of work into the channel. I'm really excited to be able to share this content, and this is going to be a big week with the launch of a new set and a new format. And so if you like what we're doing here, I'd really, really appreciate it if you'd let me know with either a thumbs up on the video, or if you really just are in for the great control decks on a regular basis and you want to be part of the community, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does make it worth it to me to keep this going, and I just want to be able to share with as many people as I can. Anyway, I'll stop grubbing and get to some games, and I'll see you there. All right. First up, we've got Taragu. Good luck, Taragu. All right, we're on the play, which is always a good place to start. We've got a buttload of removal and a Goldspan Dragon. It's not the most exciting hand in the world, but it does a whole lot of things, and you know what? I think it's perfectly keepable. Plus, we're on the play. What could go wrong? Here, given that I know we're going to need to get past past 2 mana pretty quickly, I'm actually going to play the Shatterskull Smashing as a land tapped. There's a chance I regret that if we end up relying too heavily on these, but I think the hitting our land drops is important enough that putting the Shatterskull Smashing on pause is worth it. And here we get the nice little upside, getting to Nuka Luminarch Aspirant, which I'm perfectly happy with. Our opponent's a green-white. That could mean a whole bunch of things, but I am not immediately sure what's coming out here. It's probably just some variation of the white human aggro, but oh, Naya. Okay, so this is the Naya humans deck, which Adeline's going to actually be a little tough to deal with here. So one of the things I can do is just try to outvalue them. So I'm going to draw some cards and make a treasure. Both of those go to me. That's a pretty good place to start. So I'm going to be able to play a Goldspan next turn. So I need to be quite so hot and bothered about lands. So I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to ditch this and this. Actually, no, I'm going to keep that because I need white mana. Good call. All right, so I'm going to ditch 2 lands. Hopefully these Goldspans will keep things going. Abrade's not bad. It still doesn't kill an Adeline, but it's not bad. All right, and then here comes Goldie, which is good because it'll let us leave Cinderclasm and Abrade up. It's still not going to answer Adeline, but we can at least keep their board in check. And turn, and then eventually we can put together the 2 of these to hopefully answer all of that. So let's let them pay their mana. They paid it, and then we can do that. So it's important you always let them pay the mana with that sort of second trigger there. There's not a real downside to just letting them put it on the stack, and so that's my recommendation there. And we get to go ahead and essentially run back the same thing. There is a world where we get both a Hinata and a Valorous Stance at the same time. We want to be able to have those both up, so I'm going to leave those up. And then here, we can go ahead and just make them race for it. And they didn't want to have any part of that race. Good game, Taragu. All right, next up is Emmeline. Okay. Emily. Our opponent is Emily. Going with that. This is fine. We've got 2 big threats, some removal, some card draw. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And we're on the play again. As soon as we start playing, the meta decks, we're on the play. I love it. So blue, we're unfortunately going to be fighting a bit for red mana. I think I start with putting Shatterskull Smashing into the battlefield tapped. There's a chance I'll regret not leaving up Spikefield Hazard to nick an X1, but so far so good. Alright, cool. So now we can leave up blue mana. I'm not going to Expressive Iteration this turn, because we hopefully want to curve out a little bit, but we can leave up Spikefield Hazard and maybe make them think that we've got a Jwari Disruption. Opponent is also on Izzet. So the question is, what does that mean for us? Let's expressively iterate. If they Jwari Disruption us here, then I'll be a little sad, but they don't. So I'm going to put Abrade in hand, and Spikefield and Library, Sundown Pass to exile, play that, and boom. Now we can still deal with the next one. And we got our white mana. Everything's coming up aces. Opponent's got really cool card sleeves. I think that's, is that the Sliver Queen or Sliver Hive Lord? I'm not sure. I just got my confirmation of the Far Out Man secret layer, so I'm upgraded to some pretty sweet sleeves myself if I don't. If I say so myself, so I'm pretty happy there. Let's go for blue here. Right now they're not really putting any pressure on us. Them leaving up this set of mana makes me think that they might be just slow rolling a counterspell. So while it is tempting to roll out Hinata here, there's also not a lot upside yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass. Let them make the first move. I think I'm a little bit more willing to just jam a Goldspan if the opportunity presents itself. But Hinata is, well, one, we only have one of them, but it's also a little bit higher value in terms of what it means to our game plan overall. And this opens us up pretty well because there's not a lot / any ways for them to punish us for having just for tapping out here. So I'm actually going to go for Goldspan so that way I can leave up Abrade. They might remove the Goldspan, and that's okay. We can start having some threats on the board. My assumption is that they're setting up for something reasonably big, but they discarded a Cinderclasm. Oh, did they just go to max hand size? Interesting. Huh. Geist Wave. Return it to its owner's hand. That ain't great. Sure, you can do it. They're not getting a lot of value out of that. We got a treasure from it, so I would have waited and used that at instant speed, but that's just me. And now I can go ahead and punish the crap out of them. Destroy target artifact. That secret hidden mode in Abrade. And then Goldspan's coming right back. Goldspan Dragon. They knew all about it. Alright, in the main two, I have a feeling that the Spikefield Hazard is not going to be particularly high value, so I'm going to just go ahead and put it in. And it's tempting to foretell this Demon Bolt. Maybe that is the right call. No, you know what? I'm going to at least let them think I have something else here. Next turn, we'll be able to leave up the 3-mana version of it, and maybe that's more useful. Plus, if we get Hinata out, then it gets even better. Okay, what are they doing? Like, what did they keep? Can't imagine what they're stuck on with 5 mana, you know? Now they're get 2 red, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go with another Goldspan. This might just draw the concession. Yeah, there we go. Good game. I don't know what Emily was building up to, but yep, it wasn't getting there. Good game. All right, next one is Falcon Iced Tea. They, you know, so I'm a big iced tea fan here, but I feel like in that case, you really got to think about, you know, making a good fruit punch if you're going to be a Falcon. Here, this hand would be fine if it were not for the fact that we have no red mana and a pile of red cards. I mean, technically, Magma Opus can help fix that in the short term, but I think that this is a little too optimistic to keep. But we are on the play again. On the play 3 games in a row. This is better. It's not amazing, but it is a lot better. So I think I drop Galvanic Iteration to the bottom, and then see how it goes. At the worst case scenario, I've got removal, I've got something to eventually end the game with. We've got a little bit of getting to get there, but go for there. Person said hello, so we'll give him a little wave. We'll start off with Stormcarved Coast and pass it on back. Opponent's been really friendly, so let's go ahead and give him a little smooch. That sounded better in my head. Let's go ahead and drop this on white. And then I'm actually going to foretell this demon build. I don't know what they will think it is, but just having something foretold there is probably going to affect how they play. Looking like Azorius Control, which could be tough. This is definitely going on blue. Now that I drew the Goldspan, I do kind of wish I played this on red, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, pass there. See if I can snag anything with this Prismari Command. Ooh, okay, Esper. I love me some Esper decks. It's tempting to run out Prismari Command here, but even if I make the treasure, I'm not going to run a Goldspan Dragon into 3 untapped mana. Like, I don't think this represents a counterspell, but it certainly could represent some things that I'd rather not play against. But actually, now not hitting a land makes this a challenge. So I've got to pass it back, and that doesn't feel great. So now I'm at the point where basically anything is going to get either hit by Prismari Command or whatnot. Alright, so here, got to draw 2 cards, make a treasure. If they have a counter, they've got the counter. Memory Deluge is not a counter spell, but yeah. If I draw a land, then well, technically that's a land. Let's get rid of this Jwari Disruption. We are very much on the back foot here, so I'm not seeing that being useful. I'm going to keep the Shatterskull because it's good. Abrade, if they're playing Celestus, then that'll be useful, but it's probably... So this card is between Abrade and Valorous Stance. I think Abrade is the lower value, because Valorous Stance, if they play something with a big butt, Valorous Stance can remove it, and that's probably good enough. Drew another land, so that's good, and it gives us our double red. So let's go ahead and try to mitigate some of our mana issues with the big gigantic beatstick dragon. Alright. It is worth noting that our opponent also missed their land. Oh, no, never mind. They did not miss their land drop. I missed a land drop, and that's why I was doing that miscalculation there. Okay, so they're still curving out. What are you? Is this a Wrath? March of Wretched Sorrow. So they're going to deal 4 damage, and I'm going to make it indestructible. Okay. They'll still gain the life, but I get plenty of mana back. So anyway, so they basically negated last turn's attack, but that's fine. The fact that they did that at sorcery speed makes my life a little bit better. I'm going to play this. So if I 5, 9... Okay, so if I pay the 3 life, which I'm going to do, now I can leave up Magma Opus. And so... Or maybe I just cast that now, since they can't, since they're tapped out. So basically there are 2 schools of thought here. So if I do it now, then they can't counter it. I still deal 4 to the face. The sort of risk is that they Wrath, if they drop a white source and play a Doomscar out of exile, which is not unlikely, then I've lost my elemental. The alternative of this is I get to draw 2 cards either way, I guess guaranteeing that. I think I'm leaning toward, if I lose the elemental, I lose the elemental. Select any number of targets, submit 1, tap down a couple lands, 4 damage to their face, and cool. And then for Expressive Iteration, I think I hold on that for now, just so that I can have a Braid up and Demon Bolt in case of emergency. I think that they are trying to move toward a second white source, because this is almost certainly a Doomscar. Anyway, I don't necessarily know that that was correct, but I think based on how they've been playing, they're... Oh, interesting. We are behind on cards by a pretty big margin, so even just guaranteeing that 2-card draw was worth it from my perspective. So okay, like, this is annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah. And they're tapped out again, so if we draw something good, well, that's not awful. Let's expressively iterate and see what we get. We get a Goldspan. Our boy's back. Put the Cinderclasm in the library, and then exile the Expressive Iteration. And so now drop the Goldspan. Wait, is that what I want to do? Because if I Stormcarved Coast first, then Expressive Iteration, I potentially miss out on the land from it, but then okay, but if I don't Stormcarved Coast here, I have to use both treasures, and then I can't use Expressive Iteration. So I'm going to autopay here, go to combat, hit them for a whole lot. And I guess the alternative, actually, now that I think about it, is to Unexpected Windfall, ditch the Abrade. Actually, that lets me do both. Actually, this is even better. So auto pay, because I get 2 treasures back from it. Perfect. Get 2 cards. They're not great cards, but they are cards. So let's go ahead and crack. I'll put Celestus into my hand. I'll put the mountain back. Exile the Sundown Pass. Play. Hey, come on. Why can't I? Oh, it's because I already paid the Stormcarved Coast. What am I doing? Okay, either way, I think I still made the call I would have made. With that mana floating, just deal 1 to their face and call it a day. Alright, I'm still expecting to get blown out by a Doomscar, especially now that they have double white. But I feel okay with where we're at. The Celestus will let us dig. And if they... Okay, there's the Doomscar. Yep. Let's go ahead and play Celestus. Not really going to be able to make good use of that, but let's go ahead and turn it to night. Draw a card. I'll discard. I guess there's a small chance that Cinderclasm is more useful than a Hengegate Pathway, so I'll ditch that. And play Sundown Pass. Go. If we manage to not deal this last 3 damage to them, I'm going to be a little annoyed. But this is how control goes. Like, I knew that they were just looking to unlock that Doomscar. Like, I've played the Esper control deck enough to know exactly what was going through their head. So I saw that Shatter Sanctum coming down, and I was like, okay, here we go. Behold the Multiverse. Cast for full cost main phase. What on earth is happening over there? Okay. So we'll play a Riverglide Pathway on blue. Let's go ahead and draw a card. It's just a 6 mana. Yeah, let's go ahead and discard land. At this point, now I'm starting to feel a little bit less good, honestly. Yeah. Glad I kept the Cinderclasm, I suppose. But
I'm home.
Let's go ahead and Demon Bolt while they're tapped out. They're going to make a dude and then don't particularly care. See how much I can get out of that Cinderclasm. But yeah, they're at a point now where we're basically top decking. And like, we have a lot of threats that just end the game, but we've got to draw them before they stabilize, and that's a tall ask. But, you know, at least the Celestus is a decent enabler in that regard. Here, I'm not too worried yet, so especially knowing that they probably have more Emperors, I'm just going to take the 2. It's not the end of the world. Draw a card. Spikefield Hazard is not especially useful. Returns, Shatterskull Smashing. Yeah, I mean, it technically counts as a thing. Let's go ahead and make it daytime. Draw a card. I mean, Abrade is fine. Let's get rid of the Cinderclasm. And then pass. Falcon Iced Tea, you're not making my life easy today. There's a Hullbreaker Horror. That basically means that this is over. I mean, there's a lot that I can do to potentially get out of this, but Hullbreaker Horror is going to make it virtually impossible. If they tap out, then maybe I got a shot. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, unfortunately, just ran out of gas. I'm sure there's something I could have done differently earlier in the game to edge out that last bit of damage there, but like, you know, oh well. I'm going to play a little bit more of this just to see if anything comes my way, but with them having a Hullbreaker Horror out, I'm not going to really be able to stick much of anything. Unexpected Windfall is as good of anything to go for. So, like, guess, is there any reason to do this? So if X is 6 or more, I don't even have enough mana to nuke the... Well, actually, I do have enough mana to nuke the Hullbreaker Horror, but I have to spend all my mana. They're going to Memory to Lose, just bounce back to hand, bounce the spell back to hand. It's not worth it. I just need to end the game. It's not totally clear to me how I do that right now. The correct answer here is to just play virtually anything, put the Unexpected Windfall back in my hand. But, okay. There you go. Yeah. That's it. Alright, this one's going to be a war of attrition, but I'm going to scoop it up here. My opponent got to the point where control wants to be, which is that, you know, they're doing what they are. So I'm going to give them a little GG. They earned it. And pass. Good game, Falcon Iced Tea. You stabilized. I ran out of gas. It happens. Well played. All right, next up we've got G. Julie. I see how they did it. They made their name GG. And we're on the play yet again. I don't know. I think this is the 5th game I've played today. I think all of them have been on the play. This never happens. I love it. And unfortunately, this hand is bleh. Like, we can dig into a lot of cards, but I think it needs some mulligan. It just doesn't have enough action. This has a lot more of the things I like. We've got removal out the wazoo. We've got an enabler here. The question is what to put it back on in the deck. And so I'm going to keep 6. And this is tough. So Cinderclasm is the most situational card here, but if it's relevant, it is the most relevant by a pretty big margin. But in terms of like general utility, I think Cinderclasm is the least useful there. I'm trying to think. One of the cards I took out, I took out a single stroke and a Jwari Disruption. I probably would have bottomed both of those two, so still feeling good about that choice. I think this hand looks fine, albeit a little color challenged, but we'll go from there. I do think, unfortunately, I need to play the Shatterskull Smashing as a land, which is because in order to get Jeskai colors, I can't risk not having white. So if I play this on red, then I'm kind of in a tough position. So I'm going to play this, save the life, and kind of hope that I don't regret that. But I am leaning very heavily on Prismari Command here, and I recognize that that's a bit of a challenge. Opponent's blue, which is probably going to punish the heck out of us, but let's see if we get there. The Celestus is good because that technically gets us to our 4th mana and can become a draw engine. This hand is not shaping up quite the way I would want. Having another Needleverge Pathway is good though. So here, there is a chance that we just get Jwari Disruption here, but if I lose the Celestus, it's not the end of the world, so I suppose... Okay, there we go. No Jwari Disruption, given how quickly that passed through. So, I'll take it. Anyway, as I was saying, I'd rather them counter the Celestus than Hinata. So far so good. Here, this is still pretty tough. I think I'm going to get rid of the redundant Prismari Command because Abrade is pretty flexible and it's cheaper. Whereas if I'm stuck with 2 Prismari Commands and I can't cast either of them, that's rough. Magma Opus is awesome. I will take that every single time. Alright, let's get an extra red mana and then see if this resolves. Yeah, it does. And now we get the super awesome benefit of having a 1 mana Abrade lift up, but it looks like they might have an answer for Hinata here. They're reading, I think. Maybe. Thinking. Don't do it, opponent. Don't do it. Dragon's Fire. Alright, I can't do anything about that, unfortunately. Alright, well, hey, at least I taxed them on it. Just pretend that mattered. Alright, well, anyway. They had the answer. We tried. Expressive Iteration. It's a good card. Playing Dragon's Fire. Wonder if this is a particularly Dragon-tastic Izzet deck, or if they're just choosing to play that over Abrade because of the random upside of getting 4. I think unless you're in a Dragon like designed build, Dragon's Fire is just not as good as Abrade right now. That's just me, my thoughts. Let's go double up on white. There's a world where having Hinata and Valorous Stance at the same time happens and is good. So right now I'm going to Prismari Command whether they give me a target or not, essentially. And I can actually take down a Goldspan Dragon at the expense of giving them a buttload of mana using both of these. So that is a thing. Alright, they're not playing the Goldspan, so I'm going to go ahead and draw and get a treasure. See what my opponent thinks about that. Alright, that's not bad. Let's drop the Expressive Iteration and the Abrade. Now we've got threats.deck. My turn. Alright, we're almost at the point where I can Magma Opus. My assumption is that they didn't cast the Goldspan Dragon because they have removal, but I'm going to make them have it. Because at this point we are very much on the back foot, just praying for another mana. And worst case scenario, if they Dragonfire my Goldspan Dragon, then I get that extra treasure I need. Memory Deluge is not a removal spell, so that is encouraging. And if we can stick this Goldspan Dragon for any amount of time, then 2 Magma Opuses are going to end things quite efficiently. But we'll see. Too early to get optimistic. Alright, they're coming back with a Goldspan of their own. Seems decent. What else you got? Or are you just trying to race? 'Cause I'll race you. My turn. Cinderclasm isn't very exciting, but let's go ahead and attack with a Goldspan. Alright, and then while they're tapped low, I'm going to make yeah, actually that makes more sense. Not going in on the treasures, I suppose. Let's go ahead and Magma Opus. Question is, do I take the opportunity to nuke the Goldspan Dragon? Probably. Otherwise it can go to their face. Let's go ahead and just remove their threat. I think that's fine, and then I'll tap these down. And then I get a 4/4. The next one can go to their face, hopefully. It's possible that they finally have a counter spell. Geist Wave. Why is everybody playing Geist Wave all of a sudden? Yikes. Okay, well. Alright. Pop off, man. I mean, I still get a Deuterino, but Alright, and then main 2. Could Expressive Iteration. Is that the right call? 6 on 7. No, I want to hold on to my treasures so I can Magma Opus again, even if they remove my dragon. At this point, I got a pair of 4/4s. They're going to have to replay their Goldspan. I'm feeling okay. The biggest thing I'm missing out on by not casting the Expressive Iteration is getting to draw with the Celestus, which is fine. Geist Wave. Yeah, it's annoying, but what you gonna do? I've seen more copies of this this afternoon than I've seen the entire time it's been standard. So I don't know why suddenly this is getting super popular. I mean, I guess as a way to protect your own creatures, it's fine, but I don't know. I assume that the folks who are playing Geist Wave are going to switch to that slip out the back, the 1 mana, give it a creature +1/+1, and then it phases out at some point. Because like as an unsummon, this is not amazing. As a defensive spell, it's fine. Oh, are they trying to charge up their lasers? What are they doing here? Can I punish them for this? Not yet. Don't know what they're hoping to accomplish here, but why wouldn't? Oh, they could. Okay, yeah, because they need to make the extra treasure. All right, so this is intimidating for sure, but is it the end of the world? Probably not. 2, 4, 5, yeah. Curious about what our opponent has. I mean, that was a pretty sweet play. I will absolutely give them that. We get to draw a card. Spikefield Hazard is not amazing, but it's probably at least marginally better than Cinderclasm. 2 Spikefield Hazards, less great. Cool. So let's Expressive Iteration. Well, hold on. So we've got 4, 5, 11 mana total. Okay, so I can Expressive Iteration and still Magma Opus. Just want to make sure I didn't mess that up. But if we can rip another Goldspan here, put Goldspan into hand, put Unexpected Windfall in the library, Riverglide to exile, drop another land here. Okay, so we're dealing with 5 mana. I see you, opponent. I don't like what you did. Do you have an answer? Because if I can get in the attacks with this and then launch Magma Opus, then I'm pretty sure we just win. It's 4 + 4 + 4 is 12. Whew. Chain them up. I mean, they drew so many cards this turn. And I have to imagine that they got an answer amongst that somewhere. Okay. So I get a treasure. How do I maximize this scenario? So I do have, so this is 6, 7. When Goldspan deck comes down, I will still have enough for Magma Opus. Okay. Resolve. So the question comes down to whether or not I Magma Opus their face, or if I try to kill one of these dragons. And I don't know. It's a tough call. I could try to do it on their turn, tap down their dragons, and then Magma Opus at risk of counterspell, but honestly, I haven't really seen anything looking anything like a counterspell so far, so maybe we're fine. Let's go ahead and I'm going to try doing it during their turn. There is a reasonable probability I get blown out by that, but I'm going to take that chance. Expressive Iteration, okay. Prismari Command, all right. I really want to know what's in their hand. Like, they've got choices. I mean, either way, whether I tap them down or not, they're going to get some treasure tokens. The big difference is that I got to make sure that we're inside of combat. So that's where it's like, I'm going into full control just to make sure I don't miss it. It's like, it's too easy to just like arena click through these things, you know? Prismari Command, fine, I'll float a red mana here. I've got enough to cast Magma Opus, off of that, so I'm probably just gonna like Spikefield Hazard here for the fun of it, because I'm gonna lose the mana anyway. All right, that's Spikefield Hazard, just for funsies. Resolve. Spikefield Hazard is not doing a whole lot otherwise, so I suppose I could have pulled the trick that they did and cast it on my own thing. There's a chance that I get Jwari Disruption here. That's actually probably, well, I don't know. I don't know if that was really the right call. Alright, so in terms of damage, I'm going to deal damage to their face. That's good enough for me. I'm going to tap, and distribute damage forward to their face. Yes. Autopay. Do you have an answer, opponent? I am giving you a buttload of mana in this process. Cathartic Pyre, discard 2, then draw 2. Okay. They're digging. What did they have? Oh, 2 lands. Oh, man. I mean, they're going to have so much mana as a result of this, so... Like... Yeah. Like if they drew something, they are almost certainly going to be able to play it. Oh, no! He had it. Alright, good game. I'll give you the fancy GG. They earned that one. Yeah. Pop off. That was well played. Like, I mean, with Saw It Coming, I couldn't have left up mana to deal with that anyway, so it was really, like, the decision that I was playing with about doing at the end of their turn versus their, like, ultimately, like, killing off one of their dragons there might have given me another turn, and that probably would have been the better play, but like that's playing to not lose there, I think, and maybe that was the right call. I'm open. Tell me in the comments what you think I should have done in this game, because like I thought really hard about playing it at the end of the previous turn, and killing a dragon, leaving the damage off the table, um, and in that case, like that is the lower EV play than getting them to essentially tap out the dragons and potentially kill them. Because here they needed to dig into essentially exactly saw it coming, especially given where they were at, in order to avoid losing there. And so they got there. They dug so many cards deep there, but so they earned it. But I don't necessarily know that playing at the end of their turn played around that super well. So I think I'm comfortable with the play I ended up making, but I'm willing to agree with anyone who tells me that there was probably a better play. This deck is a lot of fun, but has a lot of lines. Anyway, on to the wrap up. All right, welcome back for the wrap up. We played 5 games. We won 3 of them. That's not a bad rate, and both of the games that we lost were pretty close, so I am pretty satisfied with that. Beckles put together a good deck list, especially given that it was meant for best of 3, and I played it in best of 1. It's a fun deck, and I think what the matchup you didn't see that pushed this deck off to the wayside a bit was the enchantments deck, like the runes deck. This deck just doesn't have a lot of action against that one. I think in order for it to have action against it, you need to make it look more like a traditional control deck, at which point Hinata kind of gets, outclassed or pushed out of the deck pretty quickly. But the deck still has a lot of power. You saw that, in 3 of those matchups, it was like a decisive victory. It was just, Goldspan Dragon deck essentially. And actually, honestly, in these games, Hinata really didn't do much of anything. It got killed and really quickly. I didn't really get to pull off the 2-mana Magma Opus, although I did cast a lot of Magma Opuses in these games. I would say that normally Hinata is more impactful. In the games that I recorded but lost the audio from, there were a lot more examples of the discounted targeting spells mattering in a pretty big way. So from that perspective, I would say don't look at these games and be like, Hinata didn't do much there. It has stuck around in these lists because it's a really powerful enabler, even if this particular set of 5 games was a little bit more about Goldspan Dragon. I don't necessarily know that I want to change too much about this deck, and given that the format's changing in a few days, I'd say let's see what we get out there, and ultimately, we'll see how the format changes and whether or not this can come back. I think any format in which creature removal is at a premium, especially where things that dealing damage to the creatures is viable, this deck is going to get a lot better. The big reason that, for instance, the runes deck kind of pushes this out is that you need so much of your removal to be flexible enough to be able to deal with the enchantments, whether it's the Showdown of the Scalds, the Hallowed Haunting, the Wedding Invitation. You need so many enchantment removal spells that this deck just can't slot those in without fundamentally changing what it does. But if you get to the point where I can sort of see in a world in the next format where if the new dash mechanic, the blitz decks, if the blitz decks get really powerful, something like this could actually be really great, because then essentially what wins you the game is just killing their value engines in creature form before they can use them or get them really effectively monetized or made use of. And so anyway, I keep your eye on this general deck, and we'll see how things evolve. And so who knows, maybe we'll play a variant of it in the future. But I'm glad that I at least managed to fit this in to the season before the format changed up. Anyway, remember, I'm looking to play a couple games on camera this week. We've got the release of both Streets of New Capenna and the Explorer format on, I guess it's technically Thursday, and I'll have a video up at least on Standard on Friday. And I'll try to get up an Explorer video as soon as I can after that, because I'm super excited about that. And so just give me your feedback on what you think about Explorer, how much time you think I should devote to it. I'm certainly going to play around with having it as a sort of additional video on the channel. And if there's something you want to see me play first, please let me know, especially for Streets of New Capenna. Like, there's so much to play with, and I'm so excited about like what even just like having access to those tricycle lands will do for the format. So let me know what you want to see. And I'm just jazzed up to be able to deliver some more of that to you all. Anyway, I will say, if you happen to be in the Chicago area, this is not sponsored, but I run the Commander events at Gamers World Fox Valley in Aurora, Illinois, every Friday night at 7. And so if you want to meet me and jam some Commander games, drop on in. And, I'd be happy to see you there. And just let me know you watch the channel, and I'll throw a little bonus your way for coming in and playing. Otherwise, this has been a lot of fun. I hope I see you in the next one. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you love what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next week, or just in a few days, actually. Cheers.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless.